Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a head-to-head lab test that might honestly change everything you think you know about premium golf balls. We're putting the undisputed heavyweight champion, the Titleist Pro V1, right up against the direct-to-consumer challenger, the Vice Pro.
Look, it's the universally understood dilemma, right? It's the question every single golfer has asked themselves while standing in the pro shop just staring at that massive wall of little white boxes. Is paying top dollar for a premium golf ball actually helping your score? Or, at the end of the day, are you just paying a hefty premium for a brand name stamped on the side? Well, today, we actually have the hard, impartial data to finally answer that.
And I mean, the price gap here is pretty wild. The Titleist Pro V1 comes in at $55 a dozen, while the Vice Pro sits at just $38. That is a stark $17 difference every single time you grab a box. And over the course of a season, that adds up incredibly fast. Okay, let's dive into this and see if that extra cash is genuinely buying you better golf.
But before we hit the launch monitors, we gotta talk about how these things are actually built. Because despite that big price difference, they share the exact same fundamental tour-level construction. They're both three-piece balls with a cast urethane cover. And that urethane cover, that's the absolute magic ingredient you'll find on almost every premium tour ball. It's designed specifically to give you that low spin off the driver, but high spin around the greens. The Pro V1 sits around an 87 compression, and the Vice Pro is just a tiny bit firmer at 90. So structurally, we are looking at incredibly similar competitors. So how do we get to the truth? Well, the lab didn't just smash a few balls into a net and call it a day. They ran a super strict, totally unbiased protocol to separate pure, raw distance from actual scoring performance. We're talking 4 distinct categories: driver performance, iron approach shots, wedge spin for the short game, and putter distance control and feel. And here's the absolute kicker. This entire battery of tests was run at 2 different swing speeds, 92 miles per hour and 78 miles per hour. This is vital, because as you're gonna see, the numbers look completely different depending on how fast you're swinging that club.
Section 1. The high-speed test. Driver and iron performance at 92 miles per hour.
All right, starting on the tee box with the driver at 92 miles per hour. By the way, that represents your average US male amateur golfer. The Pro V1 averaged 2,580 revolutions per minute of spin, while the Vice Pro came in at 2,720. That's a difference of just 140 RPM. So what does that actually mean for you? Well, if you're a low handicapper who aggressively fights a ballooning ball flight, yeah, the Pro V1's slightly lower spin is a real-world advantage. But for the vast majority of us everyday golfers, you are simply not going to feel a 140 RPM difference out on the course.
Now, looking at pure ball speed off the driver at that exact same 92 mile per hour swing, the Pro V1 generated 136 miles per hour, and the Vice Pro delivered 135.4. Let's translate that raw data, right? A half mile per hour speed difference is practically meaningless on the actual grass. In terms of distance, we are literally talking about less than a single yard of carry. Off the tee, these 2 balls are virtually identical.
Moving on to the approach game, the lab tested a 7-iron. The Pro V1 spun at 6,100 RPM, while the Vice Pro launched at 6,350 RPM. So the Vice actually runs just a little hotter in the iron spin department. For your average golfer, this slightly higher spin is actually a pretty nice benefit. It genuinely helps you hold the green a bit better when you're coming in with a mid-iron. But stick with me here, because while this iron data is super interesting, the wedge spin results we're about to look at were the absolute last thing anyone expected to see.
Section 2. The plot twist. The short game difference.
Shifting our focus to the scoring clubs, it is absolutely crucial to remember that tour players and low handicappers do not choose their golf balls based on driver distance. They choose them based on performance from 100 yards and in, because that is where your score is made. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the gap begins to widen the closer we get to the pin. On a full pitching wedge from about 115 yards, the Pro V1 generated 9,200 RPM of spin, compared to the Vice Pro at 8,850. We're now looking at a growing 350 RPM spin gap favoring the Titleist.
And wow, here is where the Pro V1 just completely asserts its dominance. From 50 yards with an open-face lob wedge, the Pro V1 jumps up to a massive 10,400 RPM, leaving the Vice Pro way behind at 9,900 RPM. Really think about that massive 500 RPM difference for a second. If you're a scratch golfer, this right here is the crucial data point. This spin delta dictates exactly how a ball checks up, bites, and stops on a firm green. The Titleist undeniably gives you way more control here.
But beyond the raw numbers, we gotta talk about feel. because feel is huge. The lab testers noted that the Pro V1 delivers a firmer, more solid click off the putter face. The Vice Pro, on the other hand, is slightly softer, kind of drawing comparisons to a Callaway Chrome Soft. Now look, feel is entirely subjective. There's no right or wrong answer here. But a lot of golfers find that the distinct, firmer acoustic feedback of the Pro V1 just helps them calibrate their distance control much better. Okay, hold on to your hats though, because we are about to introduce a massive plot twist when it comes to slow swing speeds.
Section 3. The second twist. The slow swing flip at 78 miles per hour.
Okay, so what happens when we look at the data for golfers swinging at 78 miles per hour? This is a category that covers a ton of senior players, female golfers, and everyday weekend warriors. Well, the driver spin becomes a completely negligible 50 RPM difference, ball speed, a tiny 0.4 mile per hour difference, even the full wedge spin is a much tighter gap, and at these slower speeds, it's significantly less noticeable. And this brilliantly illustrates a fundamental truth of golf ball physics. If you swing under 85 miles per hour, you simply do not generate enough clubhead speed to compress the core and actually expose the differences between these balls. At 78 miles per hour, they are, for all intents and purposes, the exact same golf ball.
Section 4. The actionable verdict. Which ball should you actually play?
Let's boil all this fantastic lab data down into a direct, impartial buying guide based strictly on your personal player profile. Step 1. If you are a highly skilled player, a single-digit handicap, or you're swinging over 90 miles per hour, get the Pro V1. You literally have the ability to extract that extra short game spin and control. Step 2. If you swing under 90 miles per hour, or you're a mid to high handicap player, buy the Vice Pro. You're going to see identical performance where it actually matters for your game. Step 3. If you're someone who loses a dozen balls around in the woods and the water, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, buy the Vice Pro.
And honestly, this is the crucial point to take away from this entire explainer. For a 10 to 25 handicap player, making the switch to the Vice Pro means keeping $300 to $400 in your pocket over the course of a single golf season. I mean, that is real money, all for a golf ball that, as the lab data clearly shows, tests nearly identically for your specific swing speed.
So, I want to leave you with a challenge as we wrap up this explainer. Honestly evaluate your own gear based on this data. Does your current game actually justify the ball you're teeing up? Or could you be saving hundreds of dollars without sacrificing a single stroke? Let us know your thoughts and experiences in the comments. I'd absolutely love to hear how this data aligns with your game. And make sure to join us for our next data-driven explainer, where we're putting the $12 Kirkland Signature Trifecta straight up against the $55 Pro V1X.